then it takes a lot of hard work and really passion, and you've got to dig deep, and you've got to innovate and adapt. You've got to know the right people and be at the right place at the right time to be able to progress for so many years, because I see people coming in and out of the industry.
Hey Zouk family, welcome back. Another chance on the Zouk Digital podcast to talk to an inspirational industry expert. And this woman is a definition of inspiration. She's not just a very well-known MC that is an expert in the automotive industry, but also has become a household fitness inspo and enthusiast who is getting women excited about following her workouts. And this is a byproduct of the positive vibe that she exuberates. Julie, we were kindly introduced by our good friend Rizala Trixio. I'm very excited to be chatting to you today and learning more about your career. How are you, first and foremost?
Hi, Joseph. I'm so happy to be here. But I think that introduction was a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm not sure whether I'm a fitness inspo and all that. Really, I think it's more of, hey, I'm just working out at home, and look, just by chance, I just put it on my social media, and friends and women started to pick up on that, because that's what they're doing at home as well. So I think it's a community thing, like a lot of us, we're stuck at home, or we're working from home, and we're trying to juggle a lot of things at home and going out only when necessary. And for your mental sanity, we tend to turn to things that would make us feel good. For some people, baking or cooking good, because comfort food and familiarity, you can smell, you can see, you can touch, you can taste, it evokes your senses and takes your mind off a lot of things that is happening around. And for me, I'm going to the fitness route because basically I can't cook, so not much of an option there. But fitness has always been something that I pursue, but more actively now than ever, as age is catching up and we've got more time now. Being in my line of work, being in entertainment, emceeing for 15 years now, I think, maybe 16, 2006, that would be how many years? Oh, maths.
14 years. 14 years.
Okay, 14. There wasn't really a break. There was only maybe Christmas time where I would take a holiday, but there was always something to do, because events of all genre, whether it's like a corporate event, annual dinner, product launch, media launch, a fashion show, a party, every other day, there's always something, and before you know it, 10 years have passed, 15 years have passed, and you sort of look back at, oh my gosh, even when I started, I remember telling myself, I was in college, and I told myself, I don't know what I was going to do. I was studying a little bit of banking, finance, economics, marketing. I was just going with the flow, what everybody else was doing. And when this opportunity arrived for me to host an event or be an MC, I figured, okay, let's just see where this would go. And 15 years on, I'm still here. And I guess I would say it is serendipitous how I got into this industry.
So let me ask you, Julie. So you started off emceeing, and as with every conversation we have, I think there's a huge learning curve, and there's definitely elements we can learn from you. So when did you know that you were a competent and very confident public speaker? Because this is something that scares so many people.
Oh, wow. I got to tell you, the first few events that I hosted 15 years back or 14 years back was, it was terrible. I absolutely bombed, because I remember the first event I ever hosted, I think it was like an Adidas event. They were the sponsors of our TV show, and that was the first live event that I had to host, and I had no idea what an MC was. Thank God I had a partner with me, so I just let him lead and I just followed, because I've never seen an MC in action or be part of an event before where I could learn from an MC. I didn't know anybody in the industry, so I remember they said, Julie, just be yourself and MC this launch. I was like, oh, what's that? What's that? What do you mean? Back then, it wasn't so easy to get into the industry as it is now. Now you could be, you could be an Instagram model, you could be an influencer, you could be a comedian, you could be a DJ, you could be basically anything, and you could be an MC as well. The barriers to entry now is so much more lower than back then. And last time, like almost 2 decades ago, it was foreign to me, and there wasn't anybody that I knew personally that I could learn from. So and it was absolutely horrific for me because I was scared, I was clueless, I was on stage. But me being the stubborn and rash person just made me want to try it even more. I guess you really have to have thick skin. Rule number one, thick skin. And even if you crack jokes and nobody laughs, or even if if you're emceeing and nobody's listening, you really got to trust your instinct and really trust your want. You always start with why you're doing this. And I guess the first few times was so horrific for me, and I was just stubborn enough not to let go. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't want to be beaten to the ground. I just wanted to keep trying. And thankfully, I had a very close friend of mine who had a small events company, and she gave me the opportunity to try after that as well. Because events companies would only hire you if they trust you, or if you have a track record, or if you have a good profile. So I guess I was lucky that there were some people who took their chance on me, although I bombed the first few times, but they guided me. That's where I met PR companies, and they drafted scripts, and that's how I learned along the way, the kind of words that we use at events, which is very different from conversational English. So I think for now, people who want to enter the industry is so much easier because you can watch samples of emceeing profiles on YouTube, on websites and whatnot. Even most of my hosting gigs are on my Instagram and whatnot. So it's sort of like a profile of my own, but it's also just to put it out there for people who want to learn, or who want to compare, or who just want to get inspired, or even as a profile for future clients. A lot of times I get inquiries from Instagram and from email, and because they've seen my video somewhere, or maybe they've seen me hosting somewhere. So I guess it's so much more easier now, because you can just put yourself out there and curate what you want people to see, and edit it and sort of shape the kind of perception you want people to see you as. And I guess it goes for all industry as well, not just for hosting. Whether you want to be an actor or a comedian, or a singer, I think the barrier to entry now is so much more easier. To enter is easy, but to be sustainable and to maintain the profession, now that is a different story. Just to enter is the first step. Then it takes a lot of hard work and really passion, and you've got to dig deep, and you've got to innovate and adapt. You've got to know the right people and be at the right place at the right time, to be able to progress for so many years. Because I see people coming in and out of the industry, or having two jobs, whether they're a singer, but then they're also an engineer by day, or a comedian, but also, a PR exec, But I respect people who are trying to break out of their mold and really give it a try. Whether or not you succeed, really, I think as long as you try, you've already succeeded. Do you know what I mean?
Have you always been interested in the automotive industry? Because I think it's incredibly influential and powerful message to send to other women that what is typically a male-centric or male-dominated industry, you are an expert in. And I know that, for instance, you've launched all of the recent Protons. How did you end up getting into that line? Is it something that's always been a passion for you? Because I've seen your videos online, you've driven cars, you've recommended cars, you have a great knowledge of the working capabilities of motors. So how did you stumble into that?
Well, I think when I was young, before I started hosting, I was sort of in the automotive industry as an umbrella girl, for those races. And, when I was a teenager, and I guess it was interesting, girls and cars, they sort of jive. But like you said, it is a male-dominated industry. Women come as just the eye candy in the industry, And I guess being exposed to cars when I was a teenager made me very comfortable and made me familiar with cars. So that when I started hosting and the opportunity arrived for me to host, I believe for Mercedes and Honda, they were the first few companies that I worked with, I think Mercedes, I was with them for more than 10 years now, and they've been really supportive. And a lot of the automotive industry that or with, I've been working with them for so many years as well, so I guess it's all about jiving in terms of your personality, your vibe, a little bit of luck, and a lot of hard work, because I didn't want to seem like a ditzy girl who just like, hi guys, this is a car, it's red, I really wanted to do my homework, because that is the perception, right? When you what do you think about this car? Oh, it's so comfy. I love the red, and it's okay. I mean, because different people are attracted to different type of things. Some people really just look at the shape and the color. Some people want to know about the engine, and nothing is wrong. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. It's just up to our preference. But for me, I wanted a little bit more depth and essence to what I was saying, because I guess there weren't anybody that I would compare myself with in terms of the automotive industry. I just wanted to do me, and how I would want to hear a car being reviewed or how a car should be presented, is in my mind, like what I want to hear. So I didn't want it to be dreary and draggy and too technical. I must say, I'm not the type that would prefer something very, very technical, because there are a lot of automotive pundits out there who are such an expert. They know way more than me, and I don't want to pretend like I know a lot. I'm not an automotive journalist as well. These guys know everything A to Z, and they can compare cars. For me, when I'm presented with the car, I do the background research and I learn about it, and then I see how it relates to me and how I would use it. So you can tell me like all these great specs that the car has. It has automatic boot, tailgate, or it has certain speed. But how does it relate to me, really? Whether I need to rush from one meeting to pick up my kids to another meeting or meet my friends. So speed might be of relevance, or maybe the automatic tailgate is important because I've got all the groceries in my hand, and I would prefer to use my leg to open the boot. So I think when you make it relatable, that's when people see your sincerity. So it's not so much of how much you memorize and all the specs, the speed. Okay, this 300 horsepower, it's got 200 PS and whatnot. Yeah, that is impressive. And sometimes if the clients want you to present that, because some people would want to know that, so it's good to know, and that's where your homework comes in. But when you relate all of that to something that an ordinary listener or viewer can understand, then I guess you have created a niche for yourself. Do you know what I mean? And I guess it started from there, when I guess I wasn't too technical, and I was just really trying to translate a car to how I see it, and especially from a female's perspective. I guess that caught on because it was something new and something that wasn't done before. And I guess 14, 15 years on, it's still kind of a niche, right? I mean, it's not just the automotive industry. There's so many male-dominated industry, I would say. I mean, I guess if you talk about tech industry, if you talk about, I don't know, DJs, well, now you've got a lot of female DJs as well. But taken seriously, a lot of industries are male-dominated industries. So I guess it is good for a woman to try to speak out and to try to break barriers, break molds, whether or not I'm in the automotive industry or in whatever industry you're in, politics, in the corporate circle. I think if you just really look at why you're doing it, or we start with why, and try to differentiate yourself, as in don't just differentiate yourself for the sake of differentiating. Okay, everybody's doing this, I'm going to go that way, but it's not really you. Do you know what I mean? You really need to find what makes you comfortable, then you can sustain it. Kind of like your nutrition as well, or your fitness. If okay, I'm gonna go on a crash course diet and I'm gonna eat salad every day for 2 weeks, but that's not sustainable. It's not something that we like. So as long as we do it in a way that is long term, that we really truly enjoy, and people see that, people see that, and you become very good at what you do because you actually look forward to it. Yeah, and I guess that's how I ended up in the automotive industry, and it's great to see now there are other women who are branching out and whatnot. And of course, we have our different styles and different ways that we present, and it's good to bring many different facets of presenting in the industry. I mean, if it's just me alone, then it's gonna get boring, I guess. So it's good to have other faces.
I think what you said is I've mentioned inspirational before, but I said what I feel you've done is create a hugely aspirational route for young women to come through and say, or even young men, if they're looking at a direction that's not necessarily traditional, as you once described to me earlier before the show. You basically create an identity for Julie Woon. You didn't say, I need to do this to fit into this mold. You basically came out as yourself and created a unique driver that has created an identity for yourself, an identity that's been hugely successful and people really resonate with. And your style of describing and reviewing is practical. And as you said, it gives people a realistic parameter to say, oh my God, that car is perfect for me because I follow this lifestyle. And then for your emceeing and your hosting, it's been such a huge success because, as you said, you are Julie Woon and you've brought forward your personality, your infectious personality, which people do love to listen to and follow and enjoy. And that's a great message, rather than say, as you say, either, oh my God, Julie's doing it, I need to be a replica of Julie, or Julie's doing it, I need to do the polar opposite. Why doesn't people just focus on being themselves? And that's phenomenal. And you did it at a time that was harder to break through. So congratulations.
Thank you. You should be a host as well. The way you just, encapsulate everything that I say in such a, smooth manner. I think you would make a great host.
It's all these hours talking to myself in Genting that it's the practice that I get. So let me bring on, because you were too humble earlier, I'm afraid, and I respect you for being so. But you have been a very obvious inspo through your fitness pursuit, and maybe it started as a passion because, as you say, you didn't go down the baking route, you went down the fitness route, but you used this MCO time to drive a passion. It's a passion that you've managed to infect other people with, and I think it's great that if other people are looking at you and it's helped them to say, right, I'm going to give this a go, then you're doing an obvious greater good. So how did that come about? And I think you touched on something before that I'd love you to re-mention, that when you spoke to me before, that it helped you during MCO, which is obviously a message that we're focusing on, that a lot of people have found themselves, I imagine everyone in 2020 has found themselves in a position that they've never been in before. And I'm nearly 40, and I keep saying to the millennials that work for me, this is the worst of my whole life. I mean, it's the equivalency of a great plague or a world war or something else for our age group. And a lot of people have found it difficult, but you've managed to find your own passion, which has been a huge source of pleasure for other people, which, once again, congratulations. And B, how did that go from being a hobby to something that you've so successfully shared with people so regularly?
Well, I guess it's still a hobby, really. It's really just a passion. Fitness is something that I've always pursued, even when I was younger, but not actively until MCO started months ago, right? And I guess being in a state where you have to stay home and only go out when need be, and being in the line that I'm in, you sort of got to pivot your interest and attention to something that would occupy your time and your mind and to keep you sane and healthy. And I guess for a lot of people, like I mentioned before, you've got to find something at home to do. And it's either cooking or exercising. Those are the easiest, because it's kind of like second nature, right? You could walk, you could climb, and that's exercising really. And, I've been asked whether I was planning to get into the fitness industry, but it's not something that I'm looking at, a lot of times I do things out of passion. And I think that is also my personality, because if I'm doing things that I'm not passionate about, it won't last. And I know myself, I get bored very easily. But I think fitness has become a lifestyle for me. It's a lifestyle change, especially during MCO, because we're stuck at home. Physically, our body has slowed down. Mentally as well, we're not challenged. We are plagued by a lot of insecurities and uncertainties. And it plays with our mental health as well. And obviously, your mental health and physical state is interrelated. And I guess when I work out every morning, it really sets the tone of the day for me. Like as cliche as it sounds, it does boost your mood and give you energy, and it does release serotonin. It's all true. And I guess people exercise for different reasons as well. But for me, what works for me, and I think different people have different formulas that they should try out. So it's many years of trial and error of what works for me and what's sustainable and what I enjoy. So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I walk out of my room, there's a landing area, I exercise straight away in a fasted state. So I don't eat breakfast, and I follow a regular intermittent fasting schedule. So I eat within an 8-hour span, and it's work for my body. But I realized as well, a lot of trial and error in terms of my nutrition as well, that I need to boost my protein, and a lot of myth that we've learned before. Oh, we don't want to get bulky. Oh, protein is going to make me fat if I don't work it off and whatnot. But I take protein shakes twice, maybe 3 times a day. Every meal must have lots and lots of protein. And I think also when I share my fitness regime online as well, and the feedback that I get from a lot of women who would privately message me, like, what is your nutrition, what's your exercise every day, would you take protein shake? And they've got many concerns that they have, especially moms as well, like, how do you get back into shape after giving birth, and how do you juggle your time, this and that. And I would take the time to reply these kind of messages. There are those messages where they're just, so, hi, can you just talk to me, or would you like to go out? No, those are not the kind of messages I would entertain. But those that I feel who are genuine and they want to improve, their fitness or their mental state, I'm more than happy to help. And I realized after posting my first video, not too long ago, actually, maybe a month ago, that I have received a lot of feedback from women. And I thought, hey, that's a good thing. I mean, it's not exorbitant like 1 million women, but even if I could change or help 5, 10, I'm happy doing so. And they will write up to me and say, okay, I'm going to bookmark all your exercises. I'm going to give it a try. And then when they try, they'll feedback to me and say, okay, this is how do I do this? So it's like a continuous sort of like tutoring that turned out unexpectedly, and I feel that I'm doing something good in this unprecedented time where there are a lot of negativity and uncertainty. I feel like, it's my focus currently in life, where I wake up the day before I sleep. I would just sort of in my mind plan all the workouts that I want to do, whether it's leg day, whether it's upper body, whether it's full body, whether I'm going to do just kettlebell, whether I'm just going to do abs. So, it keeps me excited, like, ooh, what am I going to do? And then I'll write it all down. The next morning I'll wake up, and then I'll do it, and then I deserve a big breakfast after that. Also, the protein shake that I take is chocolate flavor. It's like salted Himalayan chocolate flavor, so it's not bad at all. It's my treat. So it's all about learning what's good for your body, because you can do the same exercise and eat the same thing, but our bodies might turn out differently. Genetics play a role as well, and your body type, your body fat content, muscle memory, and where you're starting your fitness level from. And some women also write to me, Julie, I have been exercising for 2 weeks. I did not see any abs here. I would say it's a long marathon, not really a sprint, to get to the end goal. And somebody asked me the other day, what is your end goal? Do you want to be a fitness trainer? Do you want like 6-pack abs? And I never really thought about that. There was no end goal. It's more of just enjoying the progress and the process of it, the transformation, seeing little by little. Oh, I couldn't do a push-up last time. Now I can do 20. Little wins, just enjoying the little wins and trying new moves. Like my current motivation is to do a dragon flag and a flagpole. You know what that is?
Yeah,
gotta Google it.
I once did once went to KLCC Park when I used to live downtown. I did a flagpole in front of the Twin Towers. And I got to be honest with you, Julia, I'm going to tell an exclusive that it lasted about 3 seconds. But when you post the photo, it looks like you've been doing it for an hour. But it literally was about 3 seconds. And then I've never admitted to that before. I've never admitted to that.
I'm gonna do one where somebody's actually just lifting me, and when we snap, just like I was like, I'm just hanging on there for like a split second. Yeah, but you know what? It's okay because that photo has inspired so many other people to give it a try. You know, and if I were to see your photo, I'll get motivated. Like, oh man, Joseph could do it. I'm gonna do it too. You know, and I think motivation is really what we need right now. You know, it's okay if people wake up in the morning and put on their gym clothes and take a picture and then take it off and go back to sleep. It's okay. I mean, it's their prerogative. It makes them feel good. So I wouldn't judge them. And when other people see, it makes them feel a bit motivated. So that in a way, it's also a mindset. But of course, there are people on social media who are maybe a little more sensitive, and they would sensitive comments or negative comments. I think it's all about your perception and mindset and how you translate that to make it work for you. You know, we could see the same picture and somebody would say, Joseph, I bet you only lasted 3 seconds. Or somebody would say, oh my gosh, Joseph, you could do it for 3 seconds. I can't even do it, you know? So it's about the cup being half full or half empty. And I think this time is a very, very good training curve for us to be able to really be consciously aware of how our mind is interpreting and reacting to our surroundings. You know, sometimes I just sit down, realize like, oh man, why did I think of it that way, or why am I being negative about this? You know, and I think being present is very important. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Oh, it's so uncertain. But just being present and just being grateful as well. Like every day I'll be so grateful about different things, you know, and I tell that to my family as well. And that keeps me really grounded. It's impossible to be positive all the time. I got to tell you, become a ha 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 all the time. That's just crazy, you know. But I think it's about, you know, sort of like focusing on what makes you feel good. And there are friends that really motivate each other. I've got a group of girlfriends that we really work out together, and we really push each other, and we meet up every week. We always check on each other, you know, on our mental state, and are you doing okay, and whatnot. We're very sincere about it. And those are the friends that I guess you got to keep around. And I realized doing MCO, there are friends that I realized, there's no difference if they are in my life or not, you know. So I think it's a lot of clarity. This moment in time, it would give us, you know, in terms of what makes you feel good. You know, what would make me feel good? Would eating that big cake make me feel good? If it does, you know, go ahead. But for me, I think it's like, okay, working out makes me feel good. Maybe reading about holistic psychology makes me feel good, you know. And for me, I've got a journal where I write down things that I'm grateful for. And could be really little things like I'm grateful for not getting annoyed today, or I'm grateful for, you know, complimenting that person about her hair, you know. But sincere stuff, or I'm grateful for, honestly, I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. Early this year, I placed a down payment for a car that I really love. And by chance, the car came late because of MCO. It got stuck in the port. And then MCO came, and, you know, we can't even go out, and things are uncertain. Economy is, you know, bad right now. And I ended up just, you know, sort of deliberating whether I want to take the car or not. My deposit is still there, but it's been a year now, and I'm still thinking. But I'm kind of grateful I did not, because I'm going to end up with a big purchase that I not necessarily needed, but I just wanted, you know, out of self-satisfaction or whatnot. And I'm glad that I sort of made a wise decision to just hold it off for a moment, you know, and not act on my impulse, which I normally do. So that's one of the things that I'm grateful for as well. And, you know, like different things, like, you know, you've got friends say, Julie, invest in this, do this, let's buy this office and whatnot. And Sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't, but I'm grateful for all the advice that I got and all the decisions that I didn't make, because now at hindsight, I'm like, thank goodness I'm not stuck in that big project or that big investment that will probably fall through right now, or a friend coming to you and say, Julie, let's start this business, I mean, look at businesses now. And so these are things that I look back, like, was it wasted opportunity, or was it a sign, or like a good thing that it didn't happen? Just like for everything else, like maybe friendship as well, sometimes I feel like true colors show during this time. You really see who supports you and really who cares for you, and who's trying to compete with you and who's trying to compliment you, and I really take this moment as a moment of clarity, because it seems so clear now when all the noise and all the distractions have sort of like died down. You sort of really come to terms with who you are, and just really being present and conscious about you, where you want to go, what you want to do. It's all about self-love and self-care right now, and that would play a lot with your mental state as well, which I think is one of the most important things that people are sort of getting aware now. I hear it, but it's not a common topic of discussion, because it's something that is intangible. We can't really see. And honestly, if you tell a friend about your mental state and how depressed you are for 5 hours, that friend might be supportive or might be annoyed at you and might not want to pick up your call next time. So I think it's good to normalize expressing your feelings, going for therapy, and just do without the stigma that is associated with that, because I think to survive this pandemic, we just really have to be supportive of one another. Yes, self-care is important, but we have to do it collectively as well. Do you know what I mean? And just really try to be a positive influence on others, because I guess when you shine a light on others, it really just bounces back on you as well. It makes you feel good, and then you're motivated to do more. The more you help, the more others want to help, and that's how we would progress and we would survive this thing.
It's amazing. You're the second person I've spoken to this week who has talked about the fact that there's a moment of still right now with everything that's going on. It's a chance to reflect. There is so much. It's often when I talk to people via this medium, there is a specific subject that they excel in, whether it's their career or their direction. And I mean this genuinely. This conversation has so much positive takeaways in a whole different bundle of spheres that I can't thank you enough for sharing with us, because you've touched on not just your career, the learning curves, the efforts that you put in to get where you are. You've looked at your hobbies and how it's been positive effect for you and for others, and then you've given so many different tangible learnings for people to take away. So we can't thank you enough, because I could literally listen to you for another hour. The positivity is just bubbling through, and it's impossible not to smile when you tell stories, because even when you talk about moments like when you started emceeing and you froze it, you do it with such honesty that it's so relatable. So it's obvious to see why your socials or even companies want to work with you. Your socials are popular because you're obviously successful, but you're relatable at the same time, which makes people feel endeared to you rather than you're out of touch. And so it's been wonderful, Julia. And having never met you before, the opportunity of being introduced by Rizal, I'm so happy that he did introduce us, because there's so many learnings that I predominantly would have thought that it would have been a focus just for women, but there's so many learnings that we can all take from what you've managed to achieve, because you've done it, you've had ideas, you've run with it, you've been inspired to challenge yourself, you've not given up. And irregardless whether it's an MC career, whether it's fitness from home, whether it's from learning about the automotive industry, where you've just gone out as an individual and broken through on your own and created a personal brand, which I think a lot of people will say, actually, there's no reason why I can't do it. And if there's one takeaway that I hope people take, it's you can actually be comfortable trying the best as yourself and not trying to fit in. And I think that's an incredibly powerful message you shared with us.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I think, I understand now why you've done 500 podcasts in just a couple of months, because you were so great to talk to as well. I mean, really, people can just say whatever they want, but it's how you sort of take away from it. It's not just about communication, but it's also about comprehension. And I think for you, you take the positive out of it, and that's why it's nice to talk to you as well. The conversation is always a two-way thing. And I think it's so comfortable and so nice to talk to you as well. So it's my pleasure really to be able to share, and I hope maybe at least just one person would be inspired today, to be happy, to do good. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are suffering right now in one way or another, but this is a temporary moment only, and I hope people remember that, and that they're motivated to just hang in there, because it's really truly a time where we can really make or break ourselves, and I think with positive people like you, and with great content that you're doing, I think it's a step forward as well, and it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you, Joseph.
No, not at all. And thank you so much, Julia. And look, whatever you continue to do, I'm sure a lot more people are going to be checking out, following and finding out. And we wish you success. Although I don't feel we need to, because I think with your kind of positive mental thinking, everything you touch will inadvertently, whether it's through hobby or through profession, work out. And I can't wait to see what happens next. And I'm sure ourselves with Rizal and Trixie will be seeing you launch a lot more cars, and maybe a fitness studio in the future. Who knows?
Oh, wow. You'll be my first guest, okay? You can tell me how to do that dragon pole, no, that flagpole.
Yeah, just give me a little bit of time. Give me a little bit of time.
All right. It's a pleasure, Joseph. You have a good day.
Take care, stay safe, look after yourself and your family, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Okay. See you. Bye.
All kind of vintage sounds that producers love to use these days. It sounds great, it feels great, with all the nuance you'd expect from the real acoustic instrument.